Carrie Moore, Republican, running for State Board of Education, seeking your vote, wants the nomination to run for place 2. You just heard the area. That'd be us, and of course, all up the coast as well. So flash your credentials, Carrie. Tell them about education, personal, professional, anything like that. Why you want to run for, I'm sad to say this, but voter turnout is what it is. It's a race that is so important. My goodness.
Yeah.
For our kids, for our nation. It's education. You guys are making decisions at the State's Board of Education on books and curriculum and culture and pushing back against woke culture, all those things. So tell us about you personally, professionally. Like, who is Carrie Moore?
Well, I'm just a mom. 22 years ago, I had my first child, and when I grew up, my mom was a PTA president. She was home with us. She was in our schools all the time, and of course, I would roll my eyes when that was happening. But it made me feel secure, and it made my friends feel secure when she was there. And that's what I always wanted to grow up to be. I wanted to be a stay-at-home PTA president mom. And so I went to Texas State University, which used to be Southwest Texas State. Did a little law enforcement at the Hays County Sheriff's Office, a corrections officer. Did not end up getting my degree. Met my late husband, who was the inmate psychiatrist at the jail. We had 2 great kids, and we were going to homeschool the kids. So the plan was going the way it was supposed to go. He ended up getting pancreatic cancer and passed away about 13 years ago. So when he passed, I had a 5 and a 7-year-old, and I had no degree, and no life insurance, and we weren't sure what we were going to do.
Wow.
So long story short, we were in Shiner, Texas, and then we came down to Corpus Christi. I had a friend going through a divorce, so I came down here to kind of help her. And about 5 years ago, started getting involved with the Republican Party and started getting involved with Moms for Liberty. I started the first Moms for Liberty in Texas back in 2021, and started really diving into the issues with education. I went to public school through 10th grade. When I came home one day from my sophomore year, I begged my parents, please put me in a private school. I can't do this anymore. I just cannot handle this anymore. And they did. I went to Ursuline Academy and graduated, and it was very difficult. I was years behind the other girls that were there, but the whole environment was so loving and accepting, that it really made an impact on me. So when we came down to Corpus Christi, the kids went into Catholic school. I thought, if I can't homeschool, that's the next best thing. I'll put them in Catholic school. Really enjoyed their elementary school years, but started getting to understand what was happening, how much public school had changed. When my mom was PTA president, the big issue was, are we getting new playground equipment or not? And now I'm PTA president, and I'm trying to keep porn out of middle schools.
Yeah.
And it's not when people say that, it's not, Billy and Sally are in love and they're in the truck. It's obnoxiously, lots of adjectives in those discussions.
You mentioned Moms for Liberty, and we've had those discussions with courageous moms they have been dragged to court in legal fights and pushing back against trustees at school districts, their librarians with an agenda that provides pornography and child pornography to our children. And we only discovered this because of COVID, and Moms for Liberty is born saying, what is this filth? What is this crap? And they do more digging. The crazy leftist woke crowd that accuses moms who are concerned about the curriculum and concerned about literally child pornography in literature and word and in graphic pictures that is put in there. There are books like that. And no, they need to be taken out and put in the adult section of the library. if not banned altogether. But the crazy leftists and the librarian associations, they will call us book burners and
Right.
Nazis. And so
Oh,
Moms
yeah.
for Liberty has been championing that cause of let's take inventory. Uh, Find
Mhm.
the smut, find the child pornography, find the how-to instruction books on everything. There's an adult audience, everything from children anal sex to children oral sex, and with graphic little pictures and cartoons
Mhm.
for children. That's no, sir, that is not. So you've been part of that. You
Mhm.
discover this, and you've been active with Moms for Liberty with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Throughout the state and throughout the nation, Moms for Liberty is in 49 states now,
Mhm.
so we are everywhere now. Um, but the and I want to preface this with I'm on the city library board in Corpus Christi, so I get called all kinds of names, and people accuse me of being hyper focused on sex when we just want to move the adult books to the adult section of the library.
Yes.
But in schools, it's a whole different story. And 99% of teachers, 99% of librarians have the best intentions. And some of them have been dragged into this left agenda that is atrocious. And they always come at it from we want our students to be included. We want them to feel like they're represented in our books. Well, when we're talking about books that have two identical twins and one's being raped by their father and the other identical twin is watching it and it's in graphic detail and the
Mhm.
twin is wishing it was her because daddy didn't pay her enough attention,
Mhm.
that's not what we need to tell our kids is a normal thing.
Mhm.
If that's what's happening to our kids, we have a much bigger
It
problem.
is it's wrong. We are just as easily as that account is provided for a child to consume who has not experienced that.
Mhm.
99.999% of children have not experienced that. And for the 0.000, hopefully 0.00001% who have, uh, for the sake of inclusion,
Mhm.
to provide in literature graphic detail the hell that they went through is unnecessary. You may as well just take the story of little Maria at 7 years old, raped multiple times by coyotes being smuggled into the U.S., her underwear left on a rape tree on the Rio Grande. We don't need our children exposed to that. That elevates nothing.
Mm-mm.
That um, it's a awareness that is not necessary at that age. You talk about the destruction of innocence. It is absolutely unnecessary. And
Absolutely. And middle school, we have these stories all across the nation, all across Texas, middle schoolers coming home, parents finding out their middle schooler is now cutting. You ask the girl or the boy, where did you get this idea of
my
this?
goodness.
Well, it was in a book in the library.
Yeah.
And it's not it's not conducive. Our kids can't read and write on grade level. So what are we doing
Yeah.
with
What
this
is the
business?
priority? Yeah.
What is the priority?
Yeah.
Where is the priority
Okay.
of literacy versus experimenting with their sexualities when
Yeah.
that's not the school's business?
Meantime, the Chinese are eating our lunch and getting ready to conquer us sometime over the
Uh-huh.
next generation because
Hmm.
our kids are being brought up to be literally dumb.
Mhm.
Carrie Moore is running a Republican, Carrie Moore mom, running to be the candidate, Republican candidate for State Board of Education, place 2. And you'll have a chance to see her signs. You'll see her on the ballot come February 17th, first day of early vote, March 3rd, which is the primary. And we mentioned now, because this will play before, the last day to register to vote is Monday, February 2nd. Monday, February 2nd, especially for you guys who are new to the area. Uh, get out there, get registered so you can participate in the March primary taking place on the 3rd, March 3rd. Okay, so I don't want to take up too much time because I know you have goals
Mhm.
on curriculum, textbooks. So tell me if your nominee, you're sent to be part of the State Board of Education, what would you like to do? What would you like to see accomplished, either in curriculum, education?
Well, let me
other-
tell you what the SBOE does.
Okay.
The State Board of Education is in charge of vetting curriculum, looking at curriculum, and then letting school districts know which ones are good, which ones are not so good. And school districts can choose what they want to do. Another thing that the State Board of Education does is they're in charge of the permitting for charter schools. So we decide which charter schools need to have their permits, pulled or given. Then the Permanent School Fund, which is a $68 billion fund that we work with to distribute. So this is a big opportunity and this is a big responsibility. We also work, we work directly with the Texas Education Agency for policies that are written for school districts. So it's important who goes up there knows and has a background in what's really happening on the ground and not just a bureaucratic, oh, I'm reading it in a policy, this must be what's happening. So my plan, first of all, we need to rescind No Child Left Behind. George Bush enacted that. And I think it was done with good intentions, but it had very ill consequences. And we're passing kids that are illiterate and we're graduating them. Kids are not cookie cutters. They do not learn at the same level and at the same rate and in the same way. So we have to rescind that. If a child needs more time with a curriculum, let them have more time with the curriculum because they're sure not going to ever catch up if we start passing them on early. While we do that, we need to empower teachers to secure their classrooms. Our teachers right now are being verbally and physically assaulted every single day by students. And our students are being verbally, physically, and sexually assaulted by other students and adults. And that has to stop. So with the TEA writing the policies that the school districts will enact, we need to understand what's really happening on the ground and how to undergird our teachers to take those classrooms back. When you and I went to school, a teacher kicked out little Billy or little Sally. That kid wasn't coming back unless they had an attitude adjustment. And that's not happening now. Teachers their hands are tied by administration. Administration's hands are tied, they say, by the Texas Education Agency. We need somebody who understands that. And another thing that will help with that is letting parents back into schools. When we were growing up, like I said, my mom was PTA president. She was walking up and down the hall. She was making copies for teachers, helping. Parents, adults in schools is a good thing. It makes teachers feel secure. They know they have witnesses of things happening in their classrooms, and it makes children feel secure. That's my friend's mom. I know her. We spent the night at her house.
What you're mentioning, Carrie, is in the classroom. Observers during the day. You're talking about walking the halls, being on campus as volunteers and help out.
Right,
I'll
right.
do a paper run for you, but
Yep.
you're there and you're witnessing, and you can help. Parents can help provide backup.
And
Those
up until,
I'm sure there's several who are interested, especially in the younger set of kids to be there.
absolutely. And
during the
not
day.
every parent can, but I know that my parents, when they were that parent, my friends whose parents couldn't do that, they were just as secure and just as loving of that my parent was there, right? So, and with all of that security, with all of that foundation, kids feel secure. Right now, we have an elementary school in Corpus Christi, and it says, no biggies past this point because our littles are trying to learn.
Yeah.
And that's telling our kids, who's the impediment here? The parents are the impediment. And that's just simply not true. And COVID just made it much worse.
No, and who owns the kids?
Right.
Who's in charge? Yeah.
Right.
No, it's not the teacher. It's the
right.
parent.
And the mental health will go down. The depression will go down. All of those things will go down if we have more loving parents and adults in our schools.
Keep in touch, Carrie. Thanks for visiting us today. I hope you can come back for another conversation before the actual election day or maybe around early vote. That'd be nice to see you again. Republican Carrie Moore, running for State Board of Education, place 2.